Has two jobs, which I just no. I don't want to live someplace where I have to work two jobs.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass. And speaking of passing, you know what you do in the car and there's somebody that's like in front of you, it's like they're driving too slow. You have to transform. You have to transform lanes.
God damn it.
Into our first review of Transformers: Rise of the Beast. So,
Beautiful.
Transformers: Rise of the Beast is the sequel, reboot, follow up to 2019's Bumblebee. This is the same cast of characters, the same character designs. This is, however, none of the original cast is returning outside of the usual. Outside of our Transformers with Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime and Bumblebee as the Radio.
Nice.
But this is directed by Stephen Cable Jr., whose last film was Creed 2, starring Anthony Ramos from In the Heights and Dominique Fishback, who we just saw recently in Swarm. Now, this is the Transformers, the Autobots uniting with the Maximals, who you all may know if you were a 90s kid and watched Beast Wars, against the Terracons, who are doing a plot and trying to find a thing to bring Unicron to Earth and destroy everything, because evil.
As you do.
Yeah,
Of
as
course.
you do.
Of course. These are movies based on an 80s to 90s toy commercial. They were simple plots for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, this is what is this? The 6th Transformers movie? The
Yeah,
7th.
seven. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 7th
Fucking
one,
wild.
including 6 of them being live action, most of them being directed by Michael Bay. The first one, not Bumblebee, which I think we're all kind of unanimous in how great that movie is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was better than it had any right to be.
Absolutely. And I think a huge part of that was that they, instead of the big explosions, car commercial, show that ass, and, yay, America, they went into a solid character story. And I love the dynamic so much in that movie with Haley Steinfeld and Bumblebee. It was, the Iron Giant, but, a commercial.
Yeah.
And here, I think they managed to capture a lot of those same elements, especially in the first act with Anthony Ramos and Mirage, who I was kind of shocked to hear was voiced by Pete Davidson.
Mm.
Yeah, Pete Davidson.
Yeah, Hunter, your favorite person on Earth.
God damn it, you know how much I hate Pete. Yeah, so for the record, like Nick gives me shit for this. I can't stand Pete Davidson. I think he is just garbage. Oh God, asshole. So I guess I'll jump in here. So I went into this with Bumblebee far and away is the best live action Transformers. It's not even a fucking contest. I've seen all of them, and I actually went back and watched the first Transformers this week because I was always like on it. I was like whatever, and I feel the exact same way I did when I saw it in theaters. I was like, people like this, and I don't like. I'm just starting to realize, like, as I come up on 10 years of doing reviews, there are just certain movies that people that like, and I just go, I think you're dumb, and I don't get why you like this. And the first Transformers, it's fine. It's fine. Like, it's the least of Shia doing his, Martha Optimus, it's like it's the least amount of him doing that shit. It's the least sexist one. It's the least racist one. But then, you get multipliers on all those things that I don't like that are in the first one. But the first one, at least, is like, it's passable. Like, at least I think you can at least find some entertainment out of it. Everyone after that is just varying degrees of, I want to take Michael Bay and just like waterboard him like they do in Tag. Like, it bothers me so much that those movies are a thing. And The Last Night was the one that broke me. That's the one where they go, "Hey, Harriet Tubman teamed up with Autobots to free the slaves." It's like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, why? Why,
That's
Michael
like
Bay? Like,
I think everybody kind of agrees that The Last Night broke them.
it's unbelievable. And once they added Mark Wahlberg into them, they somehow got worse because they weren't great with Shia. But man, Mark Wahlberg playing a scientist, first off, laughable in itself. But to go that he's from Texas and not Boston, it's just such an unnecessary. Like, say he's from Boston. Like, come on.
I mean, you want to talk about unnecessary in his Transformers movie? You sure you don't want to talk about the scene where they spend like 5 minutes telling us the exact law where it's okay for a grown man to fuck a teenager, and he has it laminated in his wallet,
and they got it wrong.
Yeah, like
actually, if we even want to get into that, it only covers him specifically under like sexual assault. However, he's 3 years older. He's still sexual production or using with a minor, so he's still at fault for that because it's not less than 2. So even when they went hyper specific for that dumbass joke, he still committed a form of underage just shenanigans.
Yeah,
I don't know why. And he had it laminated. That's the best part.
He had it laminated in his wallet.
No, the lamination part, Dusk is right, adds like an extra layer, like lamination of creepy to it, where like you can just imagine a parent going like, "Motherfucker, you're going to jail." Ah, it's like, actually, I'm not. Like, it's,
but you actually still are because that only covered for half.
But anyway,
yeah.
But moving on to Rise of the Beasts, what were some things that you liked about that? Because you were talking about how you kind of had lowered expectations from this.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh. So, and me, I was kind of there too. On top of just blockbuster fatigue in general. On top of me not have so much time going in between Transformers movies, me not being a big fan of them in general. I mean, I liked the first one okay when I was a teenager, but having rewatched it recently, it was like, yeah, this doesn't do it for me anymore. You can't just show me explosions and Megan Fox bent over a car, and that's going to get me into your interest in your movie anymore. And loving Bumblebee so much and saw what a great character piece that was. And then with this, you're not bringing back any of the cast from that. You're not tying it into it much. You are moving on to other characters. You're bringing in an interesting director with Stephen Caple and a lead actor with Anthony Ramos, who I was a huge fan of In the Heights and his performance in Hamilton. And I was very pleasantly surprised how much I ended up liking this. I think the character designs kind of strike that perfect balance between that over-designed sleekness of Michael Bay with the simplistic 80s toy charm of Bumblebee. And they managed to get me what I wanted after I walked out of Bumblebee, which was give me that entire those sensibilities of their action in that first opening scene on Cybertron, which they gave me in spades in this movie, and I loved it.
Dusk, what you got?
Dusk,
okay. So I'm kind of where you guys are. I have pretty low expectations of the movies after the last night. I'm gonna be for real for y'all. I fell asleep during the second movie. I was at home. I didn't see it at the theater.
Damn!
And I never fall asleep in front of
the writer's strike one.
It was the one where I remember falling asleep and then waking back up, and we're like, oh, we're in Egypt now, and there's there's like testicles on a robot now, and you're like, am I still asleep? What?
I love that was the first thing you saw when you woke up from a nap in the movie.
It really did. I felt great afterwards, but it's just a cacophony of noise, and go ahead. But
That's not even the craziest thing in that movie.
I know.
God, you're not wrong.
I know, man. Anyway, so then you had that, and then somehow you get worse with the next one. And it makes less sense than it already did.
Yeah.
And then they started over with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch,
I mean,
which they make a nice joke about in this movie too.
I mean, the third one, it like has Optimus Prime fuck off into hiding for like an hour in order for the Decepticons to massacre millions of people in Chicago.
Yeah.
He's like, see, I did this and let you die to prove a point. I didn't know this was directed by Zack Snyder.
Yeah, he becomes Optimus Aslan the Lion for like half the movie.
My favorite part of that movie was where Sentinel Prime, voiced by Leonard Nimoy, begged for mercy, and he just executed him right there. Like, just like
I forgot that happened.
He's like, Optimus, no, die.
Or when he says the needs of the mini, that
Yeah.
I stood up in the theater. I was like, "Fuck off!" I'm like, really? Like,
Cardinal rule: never reference the better movie in your movie.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It almost always never works out for anyone. Very rarely has it ever worked. But with all that, don't even get me started what they did to my boy Hot Rod in the 5th movie, where he just has a French accent for some reason. He doesn't even do anything. And Unicron's in this movie, and Hot Rod's isn't even in it. And I'm like, that's not even a setup for a character. And I'm like, damn it. Anyways, with all that being said, I ended up taking a look at this movie less as like a Transformers movie, because the first 15 minutes, I was kind of watching a throwback 90s movie of like a kid trying to come up and just trying to take care of his family, and a girl just trying to do her job and do her profession in the way. And I'm like, oh, these guys are I'm kind of digging this. They're kind of relatable. I like the acting with the guys here. And it kind of works until we really get to the Autobots, and then it never quite finds the synergy it truly needed. Look, it's almost there. And then Mirage talks, and then you're like, I don't know. And then Peter Cullen comes in to save the day, and you're like, okay, all right, Peter Cullen's here. I'll work with what I got. And then I hear Max Optimal Prime. God damn, why am I
Optimus Primal?
Optimus Primal. Thank you.
Who I didn't even realize was voiced by Ron Perlman.
I know it just doesn't have any of his like tone or voice. I didn't even recognize him. And then also, I'm happy that Ron Perlman's getting work. I love the dude. But at the same time, I also kind of wish Gary Chalk was available to do the voice.
I get that.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I love the dude. He to me, he is Optimus Primal, but I totally understand movies and all that. Okay, at the end of the day, this movie is, if we take a step back, it's very much feels like a pretty standard formula of an action movie. We have a set piece, we have the MacGuffin, and then we have what we got to do. And then in between these little moments, we have bits of character motivation and character growth here and there, just enough sprinkled in to give them some motivation or decision to make or do. And then we have a big conclusion with a lot of action, and then it concludes itself. Pretty standard fare for a Transformers movie, all things considered. Even though it did it fairly well, I just didn't feel a lot of the heart in it. It just didn't feel like, for all the faults of like the early Transformers, like the animated way back, for all them selling toys, I'll give a credit to that movie. You get a lot of balls to kill off the characters it did, and at least it was kind of doing something. It was doing so, but even then, Transformers has always been like those weird franchises where I want to love this franchise, but it won't let me. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm kind of where you're at, Dusk, where I was really liking a lot of this. The first act did a really good job at gripping me in with Anthony Ramos' performance as Noah, and with Dominique Fishback in their character arcs. And it doesn't hurt that they're probably two of the best actors to be the human characters in the Transformers movie. Yep. And that they're able to pull a lot with characters that in any other hands probably would have just been written off as being very thinly written, but they do a lot to endear you to them. Where for me, where the movie kind of loses me a lot is towards the second and third act, where we get more interaction with them and more focus on the Autobots, and even the kind of like barely there included at the Maximals, because besides Optimus Primal and Airazor, who's voiced by Michelle Yeoh, we don't really get a lot with them. I don't even think one of them talks at all.
Rhinox never says one word.
Yeah.
If he does, he grumbles or says something, which is a shame because Rhinox is one of my favorite characters on the original show.
Rhinox is cool. Yeah.
Voiced by Richard Newman in the old show. Fantastic. I actually feel bad for Airazor as well. She kind of gets done dirty no matter where she goes.
So I'm gonna jump in here. Okay. So I went into this I think as we all did, low expectations, yada yada yada. One thing that always bugged me about the Bay films that I feel like I'm in the minority on, but I stand on this hill. I thought the transformations always just looked clunky. It kind of looked like a Windows 95 screensaver. Like it just looked clunky and weird, and it just felt like Flash for the sake of doing it. And Bumblebee really did a great job of slowing down the transformations just enough so you can actually tell what the fuck is happening. It's like, oh, okay. And same thing here. I thought the transformations in here, there's a shot of Optimus Prime in the rain that is one of my favorite shots in all the movies they've done. I was like, holy shit, that's a great shot. And look, I've talked about my hatred of Pete Davidson. I think Pete Davidson sucks. I think he's garbage. And I loved him in this. It hurt me so badly to admit that I like Pete Davidson in something.
Because he stopped being Pete Davidson.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably why. Because he's not like there's one vomit joke in here from a plane that I just kind of went, oh god, okay. And then there's like one stranger danger joke that Mirage makes. But outside of that, there's nothing that actually, because I could go through the list on the Bay shit. Like just off of Revenge of the Fallen, the Decepticon turning into a hot chick just so you can see the panty shot. I was like, Jesus Christ, Michael Bay.
And never bringing that up again. Or, the step and fetch 'em bots.
Yeah, I was going to save that. I mean, just those two things alone just made me angry.
Even in the first movie, Bumblebee pees on a guy.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
He's on John Turturro.
That's right. Yeah, and John Turturro in those movies is just my god.
Along with I know you may not like Shia. Shia at least is a natural actor, so at least I actually liked Michaela in the first one. She at least kind of had a character, and it was kind of nice. And after that, they just character everyone.
Oh yeah, they were like character. So it's like
character. We're here to blow shit up.
Seriously, but in this movie, I thought Davidson and Ramos, their friendship is actually, because that's always been one of the cool things about the movies when they can nail that, is the actual concept of a human, having that relationship with their car / transformer, and the way that they actually play off of Ramos's character Noah, him getting home from the military and everything, and that really uncomfortable reality that the Bay films really never touch on, the fact that if you do go through the service, sometimes shit when you get home is just not good. And the fact that this movie actually dives pretty heavily into that along with the healthcare crisis, I went, okay, balls. I appreciate that you're actually addressing these things, and especially in an urban setting. The soundtrack is fucking fantastic. It's 90s hip hop, just up and down. I'm like, yep, this is opened up with Wu-Tang Clan because they are for the children.
Yes.
And I was just
Wu-Tang is for everybody.
A lot of good references to music too. I was happy to see a De La Soul CD there on him.
Yes.
There's a Poetic Justice poster that Noah had. I was like, okay, movie.
All right.
So they really did their homework as far as the setting. That's not a beer. But as far,
It's like this definitely isn't.
right. But the thing that really drove this over the top for me was Pete Davidson. Like every time they kept going back to him, I went, God damn, like because I was waiting for the other shoe to drop because you know these movies have trained you that you know for every cool fight that you know for every cool fight scene in the jungle, it's like, oh, there's the dangling testicles on the pyramid. Oh, look, they're in Egypt. It's the same time that it is in the US. Why is like just these things that just make you go, why are you the way you are? And I kept sitting there going, all right, other shoe, when are you gonna drop? When are you gonna drop? And it never did for me. Optimus Prime's kind of a dick in this, and I actually appreciate that because they actually
in this movie more so than any of the Michael Bay movies. Optimus Prime has a character arc in this.
Yes.
Which I think it's just mind-blowing and such an incredible thing that you got Peter Cullen back and you gave him more to play with as Optimus Prime than he usually does.
Yeah. The fact that he doesn't trust humanity, there's a very simple reason given for why he doesn't. I went, okay, that makes sense. They reference Bumblebee in a way that's very subtle but clever. You know, Optimus basically looks at Bumblebee and goes, you know, I know that there was a human that was good to you once. It's like, okay, cool. It's all I needed. Doesn't need to be more than that. But Optimus is an asshole. And there's straight up this point where Noah looks at him and goes, look, dude, I'm not going to trust you defending our planet when you weren't able to stop, you know, this fight that just happened. I went, okay, an actual reason for the humans to tag along. Holy shit. Like it kept surprising me with these like subtle things that we just never got in the Bay films. I went, wow, someone actually fucking tried to write a decent script.
Which is kind of amazing considering one of them was written during a writer's strike.
Yeah,
which is crazy when you think about it. Not to get too spoilery, but the third act's amazing. I think the third act fucking rips. I was sitting there the whole time going, so I saw this in 3D too, which was awesome. By the way, I think
that might have maybe made that better for you.
Yeah, if you see it in if you get a chance, see the shit in 3D. But I was sitting there the whole time, and Bumblebee is there, and Bumblebee's the homie. I fucking love Bumblebee, and Bumblebee got multiple points in this movie to actually show out. I was like, okay, that's really awesome. I'm trying to dance around spoilers here. Mirage does something later on in the movie that I went, wow, that actually made me tear up. God damn it, Pete Davidson actually made me feel something outside of just immense hatred for him.
I mean, for as much shit as you want to talk about Pete Davidson, I can't deny that the dude is a very talented actor. I mean, he's been one of the few reasons I've kept watching SNL, and he was so good in that movie he did last year called Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Yes, he was great in that. I will give him Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. He was great in that.
He has moments.
Yeah, but here he's
like,
playing a character unlike any he's done before, where he actually has some more personality and a little bit more warmth and tenderness to him, especially towards the third act and in his relationship with Noah.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned him. I think it's Chris, who's the little brother.
Yeah.
To Noah. He's not in the film a lot, but kid actors can always go one or two ways. They're either shockingly great, or I think they're just garbage. Like it's one like, I can't.
For every one of the kids from the Black Phone, you get one of the kids from Black Adam.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I was just thinking about. I know he's not a kid, but the guy who played Eric in the Little Mermaid that just came out. I was just like, dude, like I'm sure you're a nice guy, but
I actually liked him. The singer, he is not.
Oh man, he's a singer. He is not. Like he just not good. But the relationship that Noah has with his brother is horribly sweet, and that kid, like when you find out some stuff he's gone through, you're like, okay, this kid's a fighter, but he kind of needs to be, and it really does a good job of for as little at points as we're spending with these human characters, they do a really good job as far as making you giving them dimension. Which, honest to God, Sam was Wiccan, whatever the fuck his name was, like
Sam Witwicky.
Yeah, four films of him or 3 films of him. I just remember thinking, "What's your deal, man?" Like, I just never felt like I knew who that guy was,
like,
because he never gave him a chance.
All I know about you is you're annoying, and apparently you have the greatest riz on earth.
Seriously, yeah. People use pulling. It's like, wow, okay, really? But there's something that they do with the humans in the third act that actually lets them get involved in shit, and that's why Kong Skull Island rules so much, because the humans actually get shit to do in that movie, and they're not just sitting there going, all right, let's let the monsters fight. And what they do in the third act, I just went, yes. I was doing this. I was like, yes, keep doing this shit. And again, Optimus gives a speech in here right before the third act that I went, that's fucking inspired. Like, it's actually my favorite Optimus speech out of all of the live action, where I actually had to take a step back and go, wow, Cullen is bringing it in this. And there's actually a depth in here that caught me off guard. I went, oh wow, that actually sucks. Okay. There's I can't remember which bad bot it was, but it's fighting Optimus. I think it's
Scourge.
Thank you.
Scourge, who is voiced by Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, which I did not recognize his voice at all. I was like, really? I was like, okay, dude. Fuck, he's so fucking talented. Love that dude. But but he drops this line about because Optimus goes to cut him, goes to cut a bitch, and he stops him. And he flat out goes, I love the look on the face of like insignificant beings. I was like, holy shit!
The look of confusion. It was like,
yeah, I was like, whoa, okay. Like, there are just these lines, and there's this point we haven't talked about her yet, but Dominique Fishback. First off, she has the most thankless job in the world. Like, she's intelligent as hell, and her boss is just,
she's the assistant.
Her boss is the biggest bitch in the world, and it's just like, oh my god, you asshole. But there is this straight up Jurassic Park scene with these like smaller robots, and oh man, and the way they actually worked that scene, I went, that was awesome. Like I think the biggest thing I can say about this movie that it's a surprise. It constantly kept surprising me. I was like, wow, okay, like there's some good horror bits in here that worked really well. We get outside of the States, which is really nice. Like, we actually get to go somewhere else and explore another area. They actually take the whole Wiccans concept and actually rework it in a way that I went, that actually makes sense. And they simplify the fuck out of it too. And I went, oh wow, this is way simpler and makes way more sense for the story you're trying to tell. There's a fight in the forest too that I thought was just so goddamn cool. Yeah, I just kept digging on this. Like, if there's a complaint that I have, could have spend more time with the human characters, but at the end of the day, it's not really about the human characters, it's about the fucking Transformers. And I got the Transformers, like, obviously some are sidelined, like some more of the Beast Wars stuff would have been cool, but the stuff that we did get, I thought worked really well. And the way that they interact with the environment, that's something that I thought was absolutely pristine here. There's Optimus is Optimus Primus?
Primal.
Thank you. There's this point where he's climbing a mountain, and the way that's filmed, I went, and there's like this waterfall as he's climbing. I went, oh wow, you can literally see the drips of water. Like, it was such a cool shot, and there's so much of that throughout the film. I just went, I'm kind of amazed that this works as well as it does. And I don't know if I like this as much as Bumblebee, but the gap is much closer than I thought it was going to be going in, which is the biggest compliment I can pay this movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too with you. Just to get my final thoughts, I think this is a movie that is so much more fun than I was anticipating. I think all the action stuff is so well choreographed, and it's so well shot, which coming from the Michael Bay era of these movies, where he was going for that like Bourne aesthetic of like quick cuts, close in, just that attempt of bringing you into the fight. But it felt so chaotic, and it was all just CG characters that you don't feel any of the weight or consequence to it. Here, the camera's pulled back enough that you can see everything that's going on. You can see the intricate movements. You can see how each of these different robots are using their design and using their transformations in the fight, which is such a cool thing. And even in the action set pieces, like the initial car chase with Mirage in the trailer, it's so fun to see.
Oh, so cool.
You gave much more to the human characters, and they actually got to do something that made sense in the story versus the Bay films where they were just there to be there.
So what would you give it?
If I had criticisms, I would say it would have been really cool to get more of the Maximals, especially towards the second and third act, where the movie is called Rise of the Beast. So why are we not including the actual like beasts as much? And I think for what they are given, because Optimus Primal is the one that's given the most character depth, I think he does a great job of playing off of Peter Cullen. And that character is pretty much instrumental to Optimus's arc in this. And my other criticism is with the very ending and the post credits, which we'll just do a quick spoiler talk after Dusk and Hunter give their final thoughts. But for me, I get this a very, very high tune in. I had a great time at the theater, and it's also felt a little bit of sadness because this is gonna get absolutely buried.
It is, yeah, which sucks. Yeah.
It was like, if I had a nickel for every time Paramount released a Transformers movie right after a Spider-Verse one, I'd have 2 nickels.
Right.
It isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
This has been we've talked about it off mic. This has been one of my favorite first halves of a year of film since I've been doing my show, and that's almost a decade. Like this year's just been pristine between Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, How to Blow Up a Pipeline, John Wick, Creed 3. Like it's just been banger after banger. And yeah, but you're right though. This is gonna get lost in the shuffle. I do think internationally, because I think a lot of studios are starting to kind of bake that in and go like, well, if it doesn't do well stateside, we can always, people love these movies internationally. So I think it'll do and they're clearly content on continuing doing these with what they set up, especially, which we'll talk about. But I guess I'll just give my grade now. Fuck it. Yeah, this is okay. This is the highest tune in I can give. It's bordering on This Is Cinema because I cried at multiple points. I was just happy. I was like, because I would always have people tell me, dude, these made me feel like I did when I watched the cartoons. And I never felt like that watching the Bay ones. I'd always just kind of be like, this is kind of like when I'd see a pup named Scooby-Doo. I'd be like, oh, God damn it. Like, why? or like there'd be a Scrappy-Doo episode. It's like, fuck, why are you here? Like, I'd always feel like that watching the Bay films. But these last 2 Transformers films have been just joys to watch. And at the end of the day, that's kind of all I want. I don't really need you to flush out a bunch of anthology or anything if you don't want to. Keep it simple. It's cool. But also, the human characters, they don't always need to hook up, y'all. It's okay. They can just be friends. It's fine. And this movie does that too. Like there's a little like kind of flirting, but like friend flirting, but it's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna go, fuck behind this dumpster. Not speaking from personal experience, but
I mean, and I did just finish Swarm, so it's kind of like,
yeah, Swarm is still very fresh in my mind. So I'm like, so it's like Dominique, I love you, but also
it's all fun and games till she asks who's your favorite artist.
right, exactly. But yeah, this is a very high. This is very high tune in. Go see this. This is a perfect movie to go see on a Saturday afternoon or on a $5 movie Tuesday. Like you will get more than your money's worth, and you'll be happy.
Right, Dusk.
Just a reference, Hunter. We do have a rating between Tune In and This Is Cinema Now. We call it Peak.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
We decided, Josh and everybody, we decided that there wasn't like enough gap between like Tune In, which is like a full price or like kind of in that realm of go see it or something, and then like Peak. This is like a 90%, 8 or 9. This is really good. This is about as good as you're gonna get before.
It's like 85 to 93%.
Okay.
Yeah, because we felt there wasn't quite enough step because we had like a worse than Delete It, which was Burn It.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we should have like a middle in that. So we should like saving This Is Cinema for like top tier cream of the crop.
Saving that for more like Across the Spider-Verse.
So you know what then? Dusk, thank you for telling me that. So you know what? I'm gonna change that then. So this is a solid peak then. Like I actually almost thought about turning back around and seeing it again. Like I was actually that hyped. I saw it with a theater of like probably 75% full, and the kids who were seeing it and their parents were flipping out in the best way. They're like, oh my God. Like, and it's always cool when you get that, theater experience where people, know what they're seeing. They're all, there for it. So yeah, this is a solid peak. This is a day one buy for me. Like I bought Bumblebee day one Steelbook and I watched it immediately and I was like, yeah, this still holds up. Also, Haley Steinfeld's up, girl. But but goddamn, yeah, this might be my Chip and Dale of the year. This might be my surprise of the year. Absolutely adore this movie. So yeah, solid peak.
Yeah, and speaking of a great theater experience before we get to you, Dusk. So the theater I was in, it was all like a bunch of guys in their like 30s, so they were millennials like me. And when they did a needle drop for a Rebirth of Slick, we were all just snapping along.
Oh, same. That's one of those songs where you hear it and you like kind of stop and start tapping your foot. You're like, oh.
Right. Okay. Now, Dusk, what are your final thoughts?
So taking what you guys have said and also what my experience on it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I think both of you did, but I also didn't hate it or dislike it or anything like that. I liked the earlier parts more. And I liked it till it started getting around the second the second part, and I was like, oh, but I'm still kind of going with this. And then by the third, I was kind of losing it by then. Though it did have its moments. And I think with all that said, and some of the gripes and some of the other small things I've mentioned, I'm gonna give it a probably a high stream it.
Okay.
This is if you really want to see it in theaters, it's a low tune in. But if you can wait to your home, this will be like a nice home experience. You're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be a good stream it. And you probably won't wait too long for that if you want to do so.
Oh yeah, with Paramount Plus, this will probably be you might get this by 4th of July.
Yeah, so I think that would be perfect to chill back and kind of in conjunction, because this really is more of a sequel to Bumblebee than anything else. They basically Bay Transformers are their own thing. They ended on 5, and we're doing something here. And I don't like all the things they've done here. I mean, I'm gonna be for real. Like, no, it's better than not. What are you laughing at?
No, it's just funny because like hearing you talk about the Bay films earlier, like this feels like I know you didn't like this as much as us, but you almost feel relieved, like, oh, thank God this didn't just piss me off. And I get that. Like, because you're used to being hurt, so I get it. You're just like, oh man, this is something I can recommended people like watch it, sure, but you're also not going to be, you know, kicking things like
Right.
like watching. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
no, it's just that's why I'm giving it a stream it or a low tune if you want to see it in the theaters.
That's a fair-
It is a Saturday or Friday night movie where you just kick back with a beer or a soda, and if you have somebody to watch it with, you can just kind of chill back, or friends. You can be like, oh yeah, that's good, but you don't have to turn your brain completely off.
No.
And that's like the difference. In Transformers, I just saw stuff blow up, and the sound bar became a cacophony of noise. And then every once in a while, I would hear Shia LaBeouf, and there would be a pause, and then he would go, "Optimus!"
Or no.
Yeah,
And I like Shia LaBeouf, even if he is, you know, who he is.
Possibly
I
a
like
monster.
Shia,
yeah,
possibly.
like, yeah.
But I do think he's a talented actor. It's
Yes.
just
Oh, yeah.
when you don't give somebody anything, they're just gonna do what you tell them to do.
Yeah, not every actor is able to improv and pull more than what the script gives them. Like, and I think that's something that people just
I mean,
kind
to
of
be
forget.
fair, Michael Bay shuts that shit down real quick.
Oh yeah, that is also
true.
that's also true. I will say, and there's a compliment to this film and Bumblebee. I remember I just actually letterboxed it earlier. I feel like I'm still watching Age of Extinction because goddamn that movie just went on for fucking ever. Like the best reference I can make for you Adult Swim fans, if you remember on Space Ghost or Cartoon Planet, it would have been where Brack starts singing the song that never ends, and Zorak just finally snaps and yells "Shut up!" And it's just like that's how Age of Extinction felt, because I remember watching that the first time. I was like, "This is still going on. It's almost 3 hours. Like Jesus Christ! Like cut editor, someone."
At least by the end of this movie, it wasn't the last 10 minutes. At least it was the last 20 or 30 minutes. You got the Maximals.
Yeah.
It wasn't but the dinosaurs that I was promised in the Age of Extinction.
And don't
You
show up
they
until
have
like
nothing
10
to do with
minutes
the
left.
rest of the movie, and they just
And-
show up at the end.
Show up at the
because-
end and then
whatever.
just run free.
But we
Yeah.
but we can't make China mad, so we're only going to destroy specific sets
Yeah.
and not actually Shanghai, because they specifically
True.
said
No,
we
just
don't want to
Taiwan.
show weakness. So they were actually written where they couldn't actually do any damage in their country, except for Hong Kong,
Damn.
because China doesn't give a shit about Hong Kong.
That's fucked. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, when you really think of it like that, and how much
Oh.
they were sucking up to China back
Yeah, that.
Ooh, yeah.
Damn. Wow, that's well done. I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, fuck, that's a really good. Also, no product placement in this. No
Oreo.
orange, like
There's no
That's-
Oreo bot.
It was a
yeah,
Twizzlers
there's
thing
no
earlier.
dude, but
Was
that's
it
not
Red
like
Vines?
that's not like the Bud Light bot where it like gives Mark Wahlberg like 2 Bud Lights in this mini fridge. Like there's nothing like that. And again, these are all things that we've been trained to expect because Bay has hurt us, and those things aren't there. And it's a nice relief. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I actually like Dust for Me, even though I liked it more. It's like if you watch this at home and you caught this on Paramount Plus and you've got the nice theater set up, got a good sound bar, got a good TV, you will be pleasantly surprised watching it. You'll go like, oh hell yeah. But yeah, this see this in 3D if you get a chance. Like $5 movie Tuesday 3D. See this shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that was our review for Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.